The following is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. here on WLCN 96.3. Apologize for the technical difficulties. I think it was Shakespeare who said, "To err is human, to really foul things up requires a computer." So, but we are here today, first Tuesday of the month. So our esteemed mayor, Tracy Welch, is here, mayor of Lincoln. Thank you for joining us.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Sure thing. So first Tuesday of the month, we always sort of do a what's happening lately, what's upcoming. I saw you had a recent committee of the whole meeting. Was that I watched on YouTube, or was that
Last night was a voting meeting.
Or a voting meeting, okay. Yep. And then I totally lost my train of thought because I screwed that up. But, and then, of course, upcoming activities as well. So why don't we start with old news, and then we'll move into sort of current/new things.
Sure.
At the meeting last night, few action items or discussions took place. Start with some good news, since we usually pick on you about bad things. The lights on Woodlawn, the holiday lights are up. They're functioning. They're looking good and welcoming folks to the city, and that's got to be a proud feather in your hat, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that and excited. We've actually been working on that project for 18 months or more. Yeah. We didn't do it for many years, and so we had to make sure the electrical was up to par, and we were still dealing with getting parts in from backlogs during COVID, the electrical components. But, thanks to a lot of people, it was Ashley Metelko, the administrative assistant, Walt Landers at the Street and Alley Department, his crew. They all played a part in making that happen, and so I'm just really, really excited that we were able to bring that back.
And you were telling me, or you've told me in the past anyway, I believe, it's not just a matter of, hey, we're going to put lights up, so someone needs to climb a ladder and plug into the outlet that's there, and ta-da, we have lights. There's actually a whole lot more legwork, background work that has to take place in order for that to happen. Yeah,
they actually walked Woodlawn and looked at all of the poles, and they identified the best places to put them. Most people didn't pay attention, but they were marked with a yellow ribbon around it, yellow or pink ribbon, and those were the poles that they had to put new conduit and new boxes in, and they had to have Ameren come in and tie them into the grid and get them connected. So that was just that part, and then we had to get the crew out there to do it. But there was also some prep work with Ashley Metelko and Charity Hutchison on our side, and they restrung. The Christmas trees were restrung by hand and redecorated. They were older ones that we had, and they just did a great job of bringing them back to life. We talked about it today. We've got about 6 more we're going to do that with too.
Oh, nice.
So, yep.
So, all right. Yep. So, things looking festive around the holidays.
Yep.
And, of course, with the holidays this time of year, December brings the cold weather, so that's impacting, I saw in the meeting, impacted the landscape facility and when it is available for folks. So.
Yeah, the landscape facility has been closed this past week due to the weather. We have a shack out there where the attendants are at, and right now we're getting ready to move that shack because we're putting a fence up out there, or we're working with Illinois American Water to do that because we share kind of some space out there. And so to move the shack, they're working off of space heaters. It's really cold, so we shut it down. It opens back up tomorrow at 8 a.m. So if you've got stuff you've collected, tomorrow's a good day to start taking it back out there.
Okay, and that is, landscape facilities. So this is sort of landscape related, not really, but it's the best transition I can come up with here. Sort of outdoor things here in the city. Another significant discussion took place in terms of ARPA funds, remaining ARPA funds, / what to do with those, when that needs to take place, and so forth. Once again, discussion came up at the meeting about not an amphitheater, a pavilion at the 8th Street Park. So what's what's going on with the ARPA funds? Does this, like, if that pavilion comes into play, will it cost taxpayers money? How do the ARPA funds sort of tie in with that?
Well, the project, if you've been following, that's a project that we'd like to see happen up at the 8th Street property where the old hospital was. That's where the dog park is, the fitness court, and we've actually got a new walking path all the way around with new sidewalks this year. So we've been working on that project, and the council recently allocated about $32,000 for the design and engineering of it. But it was always the intention to find grant money for that. Ideally, we don't want to be taking money away from other things that we need to do in the city, and we want to make sure we have a healthy general fund and we're fiscally responsible. So these ARPA funds, these are funds that, and I think it's the American Rescue Plan Act. It's been a while since I've had to say it in full, but those are funds that we got during COVID, right, and they were to help offset with COVID-related expenses and things of that nature. We got about $1.8 million. We put a lot of that into some other efforts and projects, brand new parks and enhancement to City Hall. Well, those monies have to be allocated by the end of this year. So by December 31st, we have to tell the government what we're using that money on. Anything we don't allocate, we have to give back. Okay. So the idea is, if we can use it, let's use it. And this project, this pavilion project, is a qualified expense. So Ms. Metelko brought a request to the council, and it got voted on last night to take the remaining ARPA funds, which I believe is about $136,000, put it towards that project. It won't cover the entire cost of the project, but again, she's seeking out grant monies to help fill the gap, right, so that we can make that pavilion a reality.
And so something that occurred to me while I was watching the meeting, and maybe I just missed it and was distracted, but it was mentioned that the funds have to be allocated, as you just said, by the end of the year.
Yes.
And in this case, the discussion centered around allocating it toward the pavilion. But it was also brought up that if you allocate it and then those aren't spent within, I think it's 2 years, by the end of 2026, then, correct, as you just said, those go back to the government from which they came.
Yep.
What happens if you allocate it toward the pavilion and then the pavilion doesn't happen?
Money goes back. When we say that we've allocated it for that project, it has to go towards that project.
Okay, so not armchair quarterbacking here, but can you allocate it toward the parks, period, and then if there is a pavilion, it can go to that. If not, then it can go to, I don't know, new playground equipment or whatever, or do you have to specify that it is going to you can't just say something so general such as parks or what it was?
Yeah, we actually did do that with the parks when we did each one of the parks. We used ARPA funds for those as well. In this particular case, we've earmarked it for that specific project because we don't know the location. We believe it's going to be at 8th Street, but the council may decide that that's not the best place and they may choose another location. So, when we make that commitment, which the council has, we're pretty much stuck to that commitment now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So it's 4:15. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions of Mayor Welch, comments on anything. We've got a few more topics that have been in the news and were discussed at the most recent meeting, which he chaired. We will get to those after the break. But once again, if you have questions, feel free to give us a call or send us an email, 4pm411@wlcnonline.com. We'll be back in, assuming the computer cooperates, we'll be back in 2 minutes with more with Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
Culver's, home of the Butterburger, 2530 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center makes an impact locally and beyond through a wide range of events, ministries, and outreaches. Pastors Steve and Debbie Owens invite you to worship Sunday mornings at 10:30 and attend Wednesday night Bible studies at 6:30. Connect with FGEC online, follow them on Facebook, download their app, and visit their new website at myfgec.org with live YouTube video streams as well as recordings of services and special events. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center, 304 North McLean Street in Lincoln. Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com.
Back on the 4 p.m. 411 here with Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. I know you can't see it because the screen is directed toward me, but a couple, or at least one upcoming event Thursday for the holidays, the Lincoln Christmas Parade, happening with the Songs of Christmas theme this year. So do you have your vocal selection all chosen and what you're going to serenade the crowd with? Or?
There will be no singing from the mayor this year.
All right. Well, sounds of silence, maybe.
Yeah, the city does have an entry. I hear that the cart is going to be amazing. There was some special fabrication that took place on it. I think Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is the theme on that one. So,
okay.
Or Run Run Rudolph might be the actual song itself. So, yeah, city entry will look nice.
As it always does. And then, of course, in addition to that, to help folks get in the holiday spirit, the free carriage rides around downtown Lincoln taking place. They depart from in front of Mama's Arcade there on Pulaski Street, and as I mentioned, free of charge. Those happen on Fridays and Saturdays, so December 6th, 13th, and 20th are the Fridays, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., and then on Saturday, December 7th, 14th, and the 21st from noon until 3 p.m. So once again, those are free. I believe if you go to the downtown, not sure what it's called, downtown Lincoln Business
that's what
group, there's a QR code, and you can use that to find out more about the carriage rides, and I think you might be able to reserve a time if I remember correctly. So all sorts of fun things happening. Of course, the Christmas Express with the Downtown Business Association happening as it does every year.
Yep.
Other goings on around town. Your police force got some ink here recently with as part of a larger operation to get some bad stuff on the streets, and I saw Chief Meister mentioned him, and he of course mentioned the other agencies that were involved, but it's just got to be good. I don't know how. My knowledge of government workings is from watching movies and TV shows, so I don't know if there's like a daily briefing where you sit around with the police chief and the fire chief and, I don't know, maybe Chuck Tonzo about budgets and here's what we're dealing with this week and go get them, let's be careful out there. But either way, it's got to be gratifying to you to read that about everything that was taken off the street and just make the community a little bit safer.
Yeah, it really is. And we meet weekly to have conversations and touch base, and we all the department heads do, because I think it's good that the department heads are talking to each other. They have to work together on quite a few things. But the chief and I stay in pretty constant contact with each other, given the nature of the department he runs, the fire chief as well. But I would say that his department, they did that joint task force, and they just got an awful lot of drugs and weapons off our streets.
Right.
And we'd love to say that we're different, but we're not any different. And so we have to stay on top of that stuff, on top of everything else that we ask our police force to do. Those are the things that they're out there doing to keep the community safe. And that's why I have always fully supported the police department and the fire department for their efforts and what they do.
Sure. And of course, I know we run in some of the same circles on social media, all sorts of posts about, well, this person's stealing this, why isn't the police doing anything, or whatever it might be. But I always sort of liken that to the memes you see where you see a picture of an iceberg and you see like 10% above the surface and what's going on, and then there's a whole 90% below the surface.
Yeah.
So even though someone may be committing a crime or about to, looking like they're going to commit a crime, that doesn't mean they aren't being watched or there isn't surveillance of some kind. And of course, within the legal system, there's the citizens have rights, and there's only so much in probable cause. And like I said, I get my knowledge from TV shows and movies, so that's about as informed as I'll sound on it. But obviously, I think the Lincoln Police certainly are doing with all the mandates they have, many of which are unfunded, but all the mandates and things, the rules they have to follow. I think given the circumstances, they're certainly doing a yeoman's job, I think.
Yeah, and I can tell you with certainty that from the chief all the way down, they all absolutely care about our community. I just know that because I communicate with quite a few of them often. But you're right, their hands are tied in some respects, and so they'll operate within the letter of the law, but they have to follow the law. And it's not that the police department is not concerned about the things that you bring up. They absolutely are. But I can't stress enough to call in. If something is suspicious, call in and report it. Right. Because it might not warrant immediate action, but if there's a pattern and they have those reports, or something does end up going to court, all of that plays a role. And so just report things. And I know the chief, he had addressed the neighborhood watch programs in last week's meeting. Neighborhood watches are great, and I think everybody should be looking out for each other, but also be very careful and make sure that you've called the police department, you're looping them in, because we certainly don't want to see somebody get in trouble for something in the course of trying to do something what they believe to be good.
Sure. Yeah, and it is called neighborhood watch, not neighborhood, form a posse and go get them or anything. So, all the movement and the traction I've seen on social media seems to be a lot of support for the neighborhood watch, and as long as those things are done properly, and as you said, watching versus vigilante type of action, I would think the police and certainly I think Chief Meister has voiced this before, that he's in favor of those types of programs, as long as they are done the way they are supposed to be done.
Yeah, fully supportive of him. He'll come out, he'll work with you and your neighborhood watch. Also the Crime Stoppers, he's talked about bringing Crime Stoppers back. That's something that we're going to have to work through because they're not as funded as they have been in the past. But it's important to keep our community safe, and so I'll work with the chief, and I know he will with the treasurer and the budget committee to make sure that we get those programs budgeted.
Right, and there's been some comments on social media. WLCN is going to work with the police department on that with the Crime Stoppers.
Good.
And do like a crime of the week type of thing. We're still working out the particulars of how that's going to, because we want to do it, but we don't want to add to the already overworked and overburdened police force. So if we can figure out a way to sort of efficiently streamline that, certainly, hopefully by the first of the year we'll have something in place. So
that's great to hear.
Let's see. So we talked about downtown. We talked about the police force. End of the year is coming. Does the mayor have any resolutions for for your mayorness or your mayoral governing or whatever?
No resolutions. We're still working, trying to get things wrapped up. I mean, I just talked to department heads on my way here, and I just let them know, the next 3 weeks, get done what you can, right? They all have tasks and things, but I also want to make sure that the people that work hard for the city actually get some time off with family to enjoy the holidays with their family. And, unfortunately, a city's a living, breathing thing, and it runs 24/7, so it's possible that we'll get called in to do things, but I want to make sure that our people are taken care of, because they do. They serve our community very well year round, and they deserve that time off too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's a lot of times people just sort of take for granted that there's an accident, well, we're going to dial 911 or we're going to call the police and they're going to be there, and which they are. But as you said, family time, especially around the holidays, and those who may have, loved ones visiting or children that maybe this is some of their initial Christmases and they want to bond with them and make those memories. That's certainly, it's definitely big to be able to have those opportunities and not just be on the clock 24/7.
Yeah, I'm just a huge advocate for work-life balance, and I'm glad we have the people that we do, but they also have families. And as you said, there's a lot of people that work for the city, a lot of our employees that have younger children, and they have family that do travel in, or they're traveling.
Right.
And I want to make sure that they get afforded that time that they need, because we run pretty fast all year.
Right.
Sometimes we all have to take a pause and recharge our batteries a little bit and get ready for what's to come, because, to your point, something as simple as an accident can really involve multiple departments. I mean, you get police, fire, street and alley has to be out there. If it's something to do with sewer and they hit a hydrant or something, they get called in. I mean, or a contractor's boring through the line to do something and they hit our stuff. I mean, the things that happen, you don't get a warning. They just do.
Right.
And so I've seen guys out there in freezing temperatures fixing sewer lines, and God bless them for the work they do, and we're fortunate to have them.
Yeah,
we all are.
Absolutely. So speaking of holiday time, we'll just reiterate once more the Christmas parade coming up Thursday evening, set to kick off 6:30 p.m., begins around Wyatt Avenue, Wyatt and Kickapoo, and then weaves its way through downtown, winds up at the Tourism Bureau facility there at the depot. So, and you'll be in the parade participating.
I am participating in the parade on a personal note. So yes,
and personal note, but not a singing note.
There will be no singing notes coming out of me.
All right. Well,
that you can hear.
Okay. Very good. So, we actually, thanks to our technical snafu, we're at 4:30. So, in the spirit of giving you some personal time, I'll let you go a minute early. So how about that?
Happy holidays.
Yeah, my holiday gift to you. So thanks to Mayor Welch being in. We'll see you first Tuesday of January. Be sure to tune in to Viewpoint tomorrow. Father Joe will be here with Dara. They are talking about some of the programs which he oversees, and if you saw the Facebook post, apparently there's going to be a discussion of the turnover there at the Chicago Bears head coaching position. So you'll get all that and more tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with Dara Entwistle and the Viewpoint program. Once again, thanks to Mayor Welch for joining us, and we'll be back next week with the 4 p.m. 411. Thanks for listening or watching.
This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.